Indeed. Move on to the Pacific Nations Cup, which we've been following with great intrigue. We have more games upcoming this weekend. The first of which
this is the final weekend. And
this is the final weekend.
The game that we're going to start with is the most exciting game. It's the game for the title.
It is,
and it's not including who we thought it would include. Fiji, having lost Japan in emphatic fashion in the opening week, are out of the picture, and it's going to be the USA against Japan. The Eagles up against the Brave Blossoms. That one's going to be in Suva. Awesome. It's going to be at 5:35 a.m. our time on Saturday morning. But it's going to be available on demand on YouTube. Yes, short of a copyright strike. But
that was an odd one.
It will be available on demand from World Rugby, which is great. Mm-hmm. And Glenn Jackson has the whistle for this one. Okay,
it means free-flowing, sort of.
Yeah, I'm not a massive Glenn Jackson fan, but he's not the worst.
No.
Last week, just to set the picture, the US had a 13-10 win against Samoa.
Yeah.
They rode their luck a little bit. It was a bit of a scrappy game, to be honest.
They cancelled each other out. We were saying it was tough to say who had the advantage in this in terms of the physicality, and it ended up being quite like loggerheads. They were hitting each other very hard, but not really getting through.
The US, the thing that they affected most impressively was their defensive line speed did shut Samoa down, and their kicking game was very accurate.
And catching.
And catching. Blaine Scully was great in the air, but Aj McGinty, especially in that first half, was just
he's impeccable,
beautiful kicking game, which pinned the Samoans back. But if we're keeping it real outside of that, there was not a lot of high-level rugby going on, and both sides with ball in hand really struggled to create and really struggled to play at pace.
Yeah.
The Americans in particular were just so damn slow every time they had the ball.
Yeah, they're very I was going to say methodical, but it's just more ponderous on the ball.
And then their line-out malfunctioned as well. I mean, they kept going for line-out mauls, and they didn't actually get a line-out maul try, which isn't like them. It's something that they're absolutely going to have to shore up for this Japanese game, because it's one of the few avenues for success for them. Mm-hmm. But everything was quite slow, everything was quite static, and there were errors. There were so many errors.
True.
And Japan, for their opening 2 weeks, played at 100 miles an hour. I mean, by contrast, 41-7 over Tonga.
Yeah,
that was
an awesome showing. Like, to back up that performance against Fiji with that absolute swatting aside of Tonga, which is something they should do, because they're a much better, more well-drilled team than Tonga. And they were impeccable. I think their 10 was it Tamura is awesome. I think those actually are the two best 10s in the comp are going to be playing in this game, in Aj McGinty and Tamora. Sorry Vola Vola, but it's just that's just the way it is. Tamora was awesome, pulling the strings, had a lovely kicking game on him. Actually, their scrum half as well had a few excellent technical box kicks, little kind of precision ones that were accurately executed. So their kicking game was on point, put the Tongans under all kinds of pressure, and then they were very, very good at executing once they got into the red zone as well. They were taking their tries and taking them well.
Yeah, brutally, as they did last week. Yeah. They did stutter a little bit at the start of the second half. The Tongan physicality got to them, and
there were a few things that Tonga kicked a load of ball away stupidly and then ended up defending for a while. But one of the things they did find is their crossfield kicks yielded some. So the Japanese defensive system does have them blitzing rather narrow, and it means there is an avenue for a crossfield kick a lot of the time. Right. And the other thing that goes with that is that even if you loosely kick it or kick it long, as Tonga were doing, as amazing as Japan look from set piece and from multi-phase, they're not actually the best at kick return.
Right.
They don't tend to score as many tries in it, and very often the fullback will gather and won't even beat the first man. He'll just be soaked up into contact. So that's an interesting picture, because you would assume, just looking at the way they play the game, that they'd be awesome off kick return, that it would look like Stewie Hogg in the wide channels or something, but it didn't. And
interesting.
That was an interesting note I was making, because they look great everywhere else.
Yeah. One thing that can be said for the US is that they're physical and they're defensively strong, and they have a way of making teams play at their pace.
Yes.
A little like Georgia, not quite as proficient up front, but with an actual 10.
Yeah.
So there's an interesting trade-off there. But they can stifle a team, and if Japan do get caught in their web, it could be interesting, because they have big turnover players. I mean, John Quill at 7 is a constant nuisance. Dolan at 8 was great last week, but he left the field at half-time for 7-star Pinkelman, who came on in a number 8 jersey and wreaked havoc.
Had a bit of a worldie of a game.
Yeah, wreaked havoc at the breakdown. So
and that's another thing that Japan were caught out with. Tonga got a few good seals. Tonga's best player was their 7 in that entire game. And Japan, they play at such a breakneck speed that occasionally, yes, the offensive breakdown is not as well resourced as it ought to be,
right?
And there's an opportunity there for proper jackling to pay dividends. So it's curious. We've seen Japan play twice, and we haven't seen them fail to be the ones to set the pace.
Yes,
they have very much set the pace. They've been at home twice on a fast track, on a dry track, and they've played at a helter-skelter, very quick game that only they are effective in. They create this chaotic look because it's so fast, and they're comfortable in it, and that's what throws all other teams, and pretty much every other defensive system is not designed to deal with that speed. So it'll be interesting if the US are the ones to, because they've also similarly played out 2 rather slow games, and it's them setting the pace as well, because they were the superior team in both of them.
And if they can wrap up the Japanese and make the contact slow and get the likes of Pinkelman, if he starts into that breakdown causing havoc, Ben Landry, another big bloke, like, are they going to be able to, slow down what Japan have been doing in offense? I'd be curious to see. I actually think the 210s are going to play a part early doors. I mean, one of the things that Japan were really good at last week is noticing when the space was there to be kicked into. They were not afraid to play territory. No. Unlike against Fiji, where they really did just want to rack up points and cause them as much havoc as possible. There was an obvious plan there in that opening 20. Against Tonga, they were more disciplined and more controlled. And when Tonga shot up, they found the corners. They're not afraid to do that either. And I think the accuracy of either 10, I think both 10s will probably get early opportunities to ping the opposition back. And whether they can do that accurately could be a massive factor.
For sure.
That and the set piece. I mean, if the US are going to win the game, they have to get the line out right, because that's everything for them.
And Japan tends to be pretty efficient on both line out and scrum. Like, the US will try and get a nudge on at scrum time, I expect, but I expect them to be surprised by Japan's just low body position. And
most teams don't destroy the Japanese pack.
It's very rare. It's very rare that you see it. They have lovely angles in the scrum. They're very, very technical, which I really like. I really like this Japan side for just that. Their technical abilities are excellent.
I think was it the summer of the Lions Tour 2017 that Ireland went out there.
Yes,
and that was a picture that maybe the US would like to draw from. Now, granted, it was a tier 1 opponent, which the US aren't. But Ireland managed to exert, even without their Lions, a physical superiority over Japan and ran roughshod over them really in the contact area. That's kind of what you want. That's where you want your Ben Landrys and your Dolans and your Quills to stand up and to get over that gain line, to cause the Japanese some pain, to make sure that they're feeling every contact and you're moving forward in every contact. Then the odds even.
I don't know how confident I am in the US's keep ball for the multi-phase, but the one thing that Joe Schmidt
they'll kick it
exactly, and they shouldn't. They kicking nonsense kicks a lot of the time as well, like kicking off turnover ball. And,
Ruben De Haas, who came in at scrummy at the weekend, had a decent box kick on him, but was very slow. But he was constantly box kicking. I mean, that is one of their sets. Granted, they're good in the air. Like, I'm curious to see if Blaine Scully goes up against Matsushima or Fukuoka.
Who wins that ball?
Maybe Blaine Scully up against Fukuoka, just in that aerial battle. So that could be somewhere that
it's true, but you weigh that up. Well, it depends how efficient they are, but one thing that Ireland were good in that series of just hold the ball. Like, Japan can't set the pace if you hold the ball, and if you are winning every collision, then you're going to break them down. Especially because they seem to be a first half team. They more so than second. They fade because they start at such a pace. They can't. It's impossible to keep that up. So the second half, there's more avenue for success. So if you can just keep them tryless or close to for the first 20 minutes to 30, and if you can spend more than half of the first 20 minutes with the ball in your hands and just running into contact, doesn't have to be anything too flash, just try and go contact, and don't drop the ball.
Definitely don't drop the ball. Don't make unforced errors and line out. You will get punished. Another factor that evens the odds a little bit against Japan is that it is the first time we've seen them away from home.
True.
They have played in impeccable grounds so far. I mean, they're just
sure there was water breaks every 20 minutes last week.
The ground itself seemed just so well managed. It was a perfectly dry track. Whereas ANZ Stadium in Fiji is suffering some so-so weather with some showers, and has actually seen quite a bit of rugby in recent times.
Yeah.
So
it'll be a different look.
It could be slower. I mean, that it looked pretty choppy at the weekend, and I can't imagine it's going to get much better ahead of this doubleheader this weekend.
Yeah. That's fair. It's a good point. That'll definitely play more into the US hands than Japan's.
Yeah.
But it'll just be interesting to see them in a different spot. Adjust. I back their capability to do so. They're very technical, but also a tactical team. They don't mind changing their performance depending on what the picture in front of them is. Like you said last week, they kicked more than the week before. We'll expect something similar.
They have good heads up rugby in them. I do think that speed is crucial. The Eagles have been playing so slow. They've got to make that pack feel uncomfortable with the pace of the game, and they made Fiji feel uncomfortable. They played so quick. It shouldn't take much to
bring those US boys to heel.
And even little kicks in behind, just turn that pack around, keep them moving all the way through that opening 20. And when
because the US will gas if Japan have the ball and are moving it left to right, and have to chase them all around the park. They won't last the pace because Japan just sets such a furious tempo if they're allowed to. So
Tier 1 sides wouldn't have.
No, they wouldn't. This is it. Like if you let Japan play, they will get tries against you. Ask South Africa.
That's kind of Khmer.
Yes, indeed. What a great game. But Japan have just been building. It's very interesting coming into this World Cup. Not least because they're in our group, but they had their best ever World Cup. With that absolute crowning achievement of a performance last time round. Now they're hosting it and they look better than that team. They do. That Eddie Jones team. They still have
Tony Brown, Highlanders Super Rugby winning coaching duo.
Yeah, it's a scary thought. They're getting very, very good. And with this game now, the winner takes it all in terms of they will be unbeaten and champions of the PNC.
USA have never won the PNC.
USA have not. Now they've not been involved in all of them. I know they've had.
They did win an America's Rugby Championship last year, so that was good for them.
Bit of silverware for them.
Yeah.
But their best ever finish is second. So that would be a good picture. But it's going to come down to, like we said, who sets the pace, and you'll see that within the first 10 minutes, whoever's setting the tempo, there's your winner.
I think so. I think so. And I'd go as far as to say I think it'll almost certainly be Japan. I think they're the better side.
I think so too.
I wish them the best of luck truly going into the World Cup. I respect the fact that they're booking the trend of the giant tier 1 teams, the giant slow kicking tier 1 teams, and here comes tiny skillful Japan to maybe tiny quick and skillful Japan to maybe make them rethink what they've been doing. We'll see what happens, but I suspect Japan will get this one.
Yeah, me too. I'll go with that.
Thanks for watching the Overlap Rugby podcast. If you want to subscribe, there should be a button up here. Don't forget to give us a like and share with your friends. And please leave comments down below. We love the conversation. Thanks.